Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to this PIM Vendors Lightning Demos event for manufacturing. I hope you're all here, you have something to drink, you're ready for 1 hour of presentations, of demos from 3 solution vendors that we have selected for you. Before we go to the demonstrations themselves, let me first give you a quick intro of the Hopin event management platform. I see that many of you have already found the chat and Q&A bars on your right-hand side, so feel free to use them to chat with other attendees or even send them a personal message if you'd like. Specifically, if you have any technical issues, please let me know. Send me a PM or mention me. And on your left-hand side, you have, well, the stage. That's where we are right now. You have already seen the reception area, of course. But soon, after these 3 vendors have finished, we'll move to the sessions and the expo. So every vendor that has a demo today will also have a session where you can ask live questions to the speakers and some colleagues often. If you have any questions or follow-up questions, or if you would like some more information, you can ask them directly in the Q&As. If you just want some more information, or you just want to sign up for a newsletter or have a chat over the chat here at Hopin, you can go to the booths, to the expo. Every vendor has a booth. PIM Vendors has a booth there as well. I will check in regularly if you have any questions on PIM selections. That's what we do. But without further ado, let's just move to the main event of today. The 3 vendors that will demo their solution. We'll start with Lars Bedoen from ContentServe. Hi, Lars.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
You have the floor. It's all yours. Good luck.
All right, thank you. I work for ContentServe, and let's actually start with one legal slide in a way. First, so you see our logo, and just to make sure that some of the information we are showing here does not represent actual ContentServe customers. These are just examples to really fit the narrative of today. Let me actually start with a brief recap. A couple of weeks ago, there was another lightning demo done by PIM vendors that focused on the fashion industry. And if you talk about fashion products, they are relatively simple products usually. Take, for example, this t-shirt here that already has a bunch of product data like a color, a fit, a size, and some ERP information such as an item number and a price. But even a super simple t-shirt is a lot more complicated than it seems at first sight, because you can understand them as a product that may come in different color variants and also then in differently sized SKUs, which increases the number of total SKUs dramatically. And if we look at a lot of different brands from the fashion industry or retailers and at all their product groups, you'll realize that, and this is just 2 examples of 2 product groups here, they have a whole lot of products. So this is just from women and men's clothing. And these are not the variants or SKUs, these are just the products. So if you just multiply this by 2-3 different colors each and 5-6 different sizes, then you'll have a huge amount of SKUs in the end. With manufacturing, it's not exactly like that. It works in pretty much different ways. Take, for example, this technical manufacturer here who configures and builds engines and drive systems. They have a limited amount of products that then create SKUs and different variants through customer configuration. Really complicated topic because you really have interconnection of different components that finally create the SKUs or the items that people can buy. Or one example that most of you will be familiar with, take Tesla, for example. Basically, they only have 4 core products, the Model S, 3, X, and Y. But by going through the different model years, by going through the different engines that are available, battery packs, colors, and tires, and all the other options you have to customize these, you'll still end up with more than 10,000 SKUs in the end. And that's really the different approach here, that it's a lot more complicated when we talk about data modeling. And since we talk about manufacturing today, there's a lot of things we won't talk about today. That is me. I am Lars Bedun, and I'm going to talk to you about manufacturing and 3 advanced techniques to deal with complex products. And as I said, a lot of the things we cannot talk about because we don't have time for this. But just to give you a brief overview of what Content Surf is and what we do. For example, we won't talk about our configurable and user-specific dashboards that are part of the software. We also won't talk about our fully integrated DAM system that allows you to really manage, organize, and tag all your media, create image derivatives on the fly, including watermarks, connect to content delivery networks, the Adobe Cloud, to YouTube, even to Microsoft Office if you want to do that. We won't go over our graphical workflow editor that allows you to create and manage workflows using just drag and drop and various different action components for sending emails, creating notifications, etc. We also won't talk about our fully integrated search portal that uses a Google-like interface to allow different kinds of people to search for products using full text search, using faceted search, and getting rich data previews of all their products or media with various different download options. That's also then fully integrated. We also don't have the time to highlight the user configurable logins so that every user gets their own login where they see and have only that at their disposal, what they actually need for their daily work. So in that sense, it's really highly customizable, and you can set it up so that every user of Content Surf, be it internal or external user, sees exactly what they need to see and work with. Or our new supplier onboarding module that's going to be released early next year that allows external suppliers to upload their data to the system, verify it, modify it, receive data quality overviews, and all of that before the data even reaches Content Surf as something like a self-service portal. That is the main idea behind that module. And by the way, and that's the best of it, all of that comes standard. That's integrated in Content Surf. So everything we're going to see today is there as well, but all of these things that we don't have time to really go over are included as well with every installation. But let's get started. The first topic I want to talk about today are component-based products. In this case, an easy-to-use example that everyone can easily understand is bikes, because bikes, everyone probably has a bike, but they also consist of different components. You can see them as a product that you just buy if you don't care about this, but from a manufacturing perspective, they consist of many different parts, and that's what I want to talk about first. So let's switch to Content Surf here, and let's look at our system. In this case, we look at the manufacturer Cube, who has a range of different bikes that he organizes in different categories, such as mountain bikes, road bikes, etc. And we have something like a bike product, similar to what I showed on the slides earlier with the fashion industry with a t-shirt product. So this is nothing you can actually buy. All the way down then to one color variant and differently sized SKUs, because this bike is available with different frame sizes. If we open up one of these SKUs, we find all the information that is stored on this SKU, such as the main image, the brand logo. We have something like the different colors, as we call them when we want to resell them, such as blue and gray, or also using the manufacturer's name, in this case, carbon and blue. We have some information like the frame size, the weight, and a bunch of other things, such as the components, which I talk about in a moment, or even something like a 360-degree image that spins by itself or that I can control, that we can then push also to our CMS systems, web shops, or wherever you want to use them. But obviously, and that's the beauty of using a PIM, we don't want to manage all of the data just on the SKU level, because then we end up with managing redundant data. We want to make sure that this doesn't happen. So instead, we can leverage the hierarchical data model and store overarching information on higher levels, such in this case, and this, again, it's just a product. You cannot buy the Elite Race bike because you haven't picked a color and not a frame size. But still, a lot of the information is still true for all the color variants and all the different sizes, such as in this case, a list of components. And we'll find here basically references to other objects in our system, such as the frame that's being used. And here we selected to display the weight of this particular part and the price, and also then for all of the other components that we have here. And we can take the information that's stored on these other products and not just display them here, but also work with them dynamically. And here it's really easy to understand because we just take all of the different components and add up all this information to a total weight, in this case, 16.5 pounds, and also a total bill of materials for all the components. So what basically we have to pay in order to configure it, which is in this case, $3,550.83, just as one example. That is also highly dynamic because we may not only work in English-speaking countries. So let's go ahead and switch language, for example, to German. And we'll see two interesting things here. Of course, most of the content exists also in German already. And the weights are now automatically displayed in kilograms all the way down to the total weight that we have here that now reads 7.5 kilograms that we have here. But let's switch back to English, where our main content is, and also that fits better with this audience. What we can do here now is when we see all these components, these are really individual objects that we may also sell separately. Take, for example, this fork here. I can simply click on it and click on details, and it will open it up in another window where I find all the rich information that is stored on this particular product, such as also a main image, an automatically generated barcode based on the EAN or GTIN number, and also the things we elected to display, a weight, and the price that we use here as the basis for our calculations. But let's go ahead and actually make a little change here. And while I do this, note the number that right now we're at 16.5 pounds and $3,550. So I switch to edit mode, and it basically still looks more or less the same, just that I can actually make changes to all the entries here, because this bike by default doesn't include any pedals. Well, let's switch this up. I just click on replace, and it automatically knows, okay, you're probably looking for pedals, so it auto filters the options I can pick from. And well, we're kind of like a shop that cheaps out a little bit, so we only have no pedals, or in this case, since this is a cube bike, we only offer the cube aluminum mountain bike pedals. Let's just select this, and we'll see here it automatically displays its image, the weight, and also the price. So these cost basically $20 and weigh almost 1 pound. Let's save this and go back to the calculated values, and we'll see here that these have been updated, and now it reads 17.5 pounds and $3,570 that we have here. So we can really use the information that's stored on all the components that we're using to calculate new values with this. And the sky's the limit here of what you want to do, because if you talk about really complicated technical products, there might be a lot more information going on where you have different wattages and other technical values that you have to calculate with. And that is just an easy example of what you can do here. Something similar you can do with non-product related content. In the case of mountain bikes, there's something that's called a bike classification. And in this case, this bike is classified as a category 3 bike cross-country. And this classification includes this image and also this text. So let's go ahead and do two changes here to the data. Number one, first we go ahead and we just remove this, and I just say I want to remove the bike classification. Let's save this. And what happens is we see here now that it automatically updated this. Of course, there's no image, but it also tells me that there's no bike classification selected. Let's go ahead and add something else back in and say, actually, this is not category 3. Maybe this is a category 4 bike. Again, I click here. The selection is already filtered to all the relevant information, and I say this is actually an all mountain bike. I select this, save the changes, and we see now that category 4 is actually selected. It also changed the information here. I have the new image, and also from this information modules. So in this case, it's not another product, but just a reusable object. It pulls the information and displays it side by side as if it were written right on the product. That's just another example of how you can manage these things. One final example I have of these components and non-product related reusable content. And for this, I'll actually go to a fashion-oriented product. By clicking to a different section here where I actually have some products, we'll see it's a kind of similar structure where we have some clothing going on and a baby t-shirt in this example, but also some text modules of reusable content, in this case, washing and drying instructions. Because what we can do, let's open up this t-shirt, is that in this case, similar data model, similar structure here, but other attributes such as a sleeve size, length, and a neckline, things we won't find on a bike. If I scroll down here, we'll also find laundry instructions, and these are technically just linked here. But here's the interesting thing, that we can further enrich these connections between two objects, and we can see this if I switch to edit mode. And if I go here to the machine wash at 60 degrees Celsius for cotton, if I click on this, let's click on the plus icon here and select this, then we can see this, that here we didn't just take the information module machine wash, but we also added some additional information that for this particular product, we have to wash it with similar colors and wash it inside out. Another really popular example is if you have something like a flashlight and you need AA batteries. Well, you can link the batteries to the flashlight, but how many will you need? Then you could, for example, here just add the number that flashlight A needs 2 AA batteries, flashlight 2 needs 4 of them, to really enrich the connection between two separate objects or products in this case. And with that, let's go back to the slides here and let's talk about number 2. And the thing number 2 I want to show you, variable data points. Because when you are manufacturing complex products, you might be faced with really complex data, such as this here. To stay with a narrative of bicycles, they also nowadays come with engines or motors, and these have various different technical aspects, such as a power graph or something like the torque in relation to the cadence or the speed. So how would this work? Because what we've seen so far is that we basically have something like individual attributes, which might not help us because we have all these different data points here going on. For this, let's jump back to the bikes, where we find not just all the different manufacturers that we have here in the system, for example, but also where we find all of our different components that I've just shown you. So for example, here, all the forks that we have, the frames, the handlebars, and all the other things, all the way down, in this case, to our bike motors. And let's look at one here in particular, the Bosch performance line. Here we have some data concerning the torque. And we have something we call a, well, not just we call it, but it's basically a table of variable data points. So what I can do here is just add any number of attributes to the table and any number of values, the same way you can do this in Microsoft Excel, for example. So in this case, we find something here like the cadence at 30 revolutions per minute. We have a torque of 75 nanometers. At 35, it's also 75. And then it slowly starts dropping. We have like 68 Newton meters at 85 RPM, so on and so forth. And we can take this data and to automatically draw a graph here to represent that data. But let's actually go ahead and make a slight change here and go ahead, and I just want to add another row to this because this here stopped actually at 110 RPM. Let's click on the plus icon. And I can simply add something else like 115. And in this case, let's say we only have 40 Newton meters of torque left in this case. I can also just switch to the next one and say, okay, we also have 120. And there we only have something like 20 Newton meters. The values are not actually correct now. So if you know someone working at Bosch, then just ignore this, that the values are kind of off here, but just for demonstration purposes. I save this and I save all of these changes, and we see how it's immediately reflected in this diagram that's drawn here. It added the 115 RPM, the 120 RPM with the respective torque values in Newton meters, and we saw here that it drops automatically. So you don't have to create these graphics and graphs by hand, but you can also just do this right from within ContentServe and use these graphics in all your other systems or publications. Which brings me to the last thing I wanted to talk about, and that is online configurators. Because a lot of times when you have complex products, you will find something on the website or the shop that allows you to really configure or customize these products. And we want to provide the data to these end user front ends to allow them to do that. But where does the data actually come from? Well, I can show you. In this case, let's go back to the bikes here and let's collapse all of these things and let's go to the bike configurator. I created one already, but let's just go ahead and create a new configuration here. I just click on New Child. I could give it a name, but let's skip over this for a moment. And I simply open this up and it automatically sets, okay, the configuration ID in this case uses my number, the date, my name, and also the date and time. Well, the first thing I have to decide is what kind of bike do I actually want? A mountain bike, a road bike, city bike, kids bike? Well, I like mountain bike, so let's select this. Coming from this, it automatically knows, okay, maybe I want to pick a different suspension because with a kids bike, you wouldn't have that. But with a mountain bike, you can actually pick whether you want a no suspension, hardtail, or a full suspension bike. So let's say no suspension in this case. And now I can further pick all the other relevant parts here. So let's say I pick a fork. I like this Salsa Firestarter fork. I want a specific frame manufactured by Santa Cruz. I select the brake system and the tires that I want to use. In this case, I like the Schwalbe Rapid Rob Active. But now I just realized maybe it's not such a good idea if I want to really go and use it as a mountain bike. No suspension might not be such a good idea. So let's actually go back and make a change here. And let's say I want a full suspension bike. Well, it automatically updates this and it clears out the fork and the frame because guess what? If I have no suspension, well, the full suspension bike has actually a fork that offers suspension. So the list here is automatically filtered according to that configuration. So I can now pick a fork that actually offers suspension rather than one without it, as I've seen before. So let's actually take the RockShox SID Ultimate Race Day. And the same is for the frame, where now the frame that I picked earlier wouldn't work because part of the frame is our rear suspension. So in this case, I have another option right here. I'll stay with Santa Cruz, but I pick a different version. And I have these options here. Really important. This is, of course, not the user backend, but this is what we can use to set up this information to then provide it to the online configurators and just show how it would work right from within ContentServe with like distributed data models and also with some logical decisions, as we've seen here, that depending on what I pick, full suspension or no suspension, I get different options concerning all the other components and parts. And with this, I've actually reached a conclusion. That's all I wanted to talk with you about today. I'll thank you for your time and attention today, and I'll see you around in the Q&A session. That's it for me. Thanks a lot, and take care. Bye-bye.
Wow, Lars, thanks so much. I want to remind everyone that indeed that you can ask questions to Lars in the Q&A sessions after these sessions have ended. I'll move on to our next speaker, Hendrik Seibel from Via Medici. Hi, Hendrik.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome.
So I
and
share my screen.
For sure. You have the floor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Hendrik Seibel. I work as a senior consultant at the Via Medici. And today the topic is the future is individual, efficient management and selling of complex, varied, rich portfolios. So a short overview about my agenda, e-commerce and configurable products, ePIM and configurable products, then a short example of a web sales configurator and a configuration integrated in a shop directly. Topic 3, it's about the rule management, about the rule sets. And the last topic, topic 4, is the integration in the PIM system of the configurator. So customer also want to procure configurable products online. What does that mean? For example, I want to buy an office chair. So a chair without a headrest, for example, but with armrests. And the armrest should be red, blue, black, or something like that. And my seat cushion material should be black and leather, or maybe should be blue. And then the leather is not allowed. So I need a rule set for all these variants. And so we have many different variants, and today it's not enough to have 10 or 30 or more chairs in a web shop, for example. So the people involved in this decision process increasingly obtain the information without contacting the provider. Customers nowadays go online and look up what is available and won't create the individual products themselves. For this, we will see later an example, of course, where people purchasing decisions are made directly. So no extra call, no extra mail, no extra chat. I want to do it directly. And of course, optimum shopping experience, excellent guidance during selection, configuration, and purchase. Customer always expect a very good UI and the user guidance, whether on the laptop, on a tablet, or on a smartphone. So it's very important to be able to customize the UI individually. So what's the benefits of a PIM and the configuration integrated in the PIM? So you have the full control over all product data. You have the full control over the complete range of variants without manual maintenance of all variants. So based on the rule set, all valid variants automatically generated. And of course, control over the rule set. And we can transfer rules from other systems, for example, from SAP ERP or other ERP systems. No problem. You can transfer it in our language of rules. And how is this possible? With the help of our headless configuration API, you are able to integrate your solution everywhere: CRM, ERP, shop, sales configurator, and of course, inside a PIM, any PIM. But in our PIM, it's deeply integrated. And you can completely personalize and customize your solution. So to provide product information via self-serve products, for example, with the VMedici portals, you can automatically provide the latest product information and also media assets in our self-service product portal in Media Portal. Let's go forward. So my example is the chair. So we have to go away from classic standard pre-configured products towards to personalized configurable products. In this example, we have maybe different armrests. We have armrests without, we have a red one, a gray one, and a black one. And of course, we have different materials, seat cushion materials, maybe leather, maybe fabric. And then of course, we have also different colors. For all of that, we need rules, because we don't want to maintenance all the data manually, all the variants. That's not possible. And for that, I have a little example. I have a chair configurator in the web. So I just jump to the configurator. And now you see, I just switch the language. And now you see, I have my office and home chair configurator. All this information, the marketing information, the images, and also the product model and the rule set is coming directly from the PIM. So I have one source. It's everything in the PIM. And if we go now to my configuration, so you see I have my headrest, and now I say I don't want a headrest. I say without. And if we go down and we see headrest color is no longer available. And with this little question mark, I can see why. So I see the color red is no longer available because I have my headrest without. It's that easy. And for all these colors, so I see, okay, I want a black one. So I can just say, I want to use the black one. I say use. And now you see the headrest color is now black, and the headrest is no longer able to choose without. And now I have my question mark directly here, and I can see the same. So I have this full explain and use functionality. for the configurator. So we can not only configure from top to button or from button to top, we can start anywhere at the rules, and the rule set will take care of all the dependencies. If I notice during the configuration that the value I need can no longer be selected, the explain functionality offers me to select the required value, and at the same time, the rule set takes care that the previously selected values are checked so that I have always a valid variant. So I can just go here, I can say I want without. I also can go to my accessory and can say I want spare roads, for example. And now you see I have my spare roads and my roller and gliders are now implicitly selected because it's no longer possible to use carpet roads because I just choose my accessory spare roads. But you have at any time this functionality to say, okay, but I want carpet roads. And now you see I'm no longer able to use this on my accessories. And it's also possible for sure to have a multi-selection for more than one value. And of course, to have a number attributes for a range inside the configuration. And now I can say I want a seat cushion material with leather. You see the seat cushion material, no, just black and gray. And I see because of the leather, blue, green, and red is no longer possible. So it's very easy, it's very fast to do this. And you see at the top, I have my model code, for example, for the ERP, and it's also freely configurable how the model code looks like. So you can set up the model code whatever you need. Good. Then I will go to a real example. I will go to the Rota Meter shop. In this case, it's Yokogawa. Yokogawa is a worldwide supplier of process automation, test and measurement equipment, consulting services, and it's about the product line flow meters. Use of the products is, for example, in the process industry. What's special, we have a continuous online functionality of selection, configuration, and ordering. But now let's have a look at the product. So we go to our flow meters, just open my product, and now you see I have my different products pre-configured, and I have filters so I can change the measuring, I can add a valve, and you see the response of this system is very fast. I just open one, you see it's available, the shipping, the price, as you know, and now I can add it to my cart. So I say just quantity one, and I go to my shopping cart and I have it inside. But now I want not a pre-configured flow meter, I want my own flow meter. So I just go continue shopping and I can set this little flag, flow meter custom. I have to log in, and now you see I have my configurator integrated in the shop system. And it's not only a configurator. First step is the device selection. So I can choose a technology, different product lines. I have my process data like the fluid type. I can change the fluid. I can change the formula. I have the temperature, the pressure, and so on. But for this case, I say just the flow rate is maximum 150. I just add this, and now I see I have four products that fits for me. And before I go to the configuration, I just compare the selected devices, and I see, okay, these three devices, and this one is the correct one for me, and I just can go and start the configuration. And now you see I have the device selection is finished, and now I'm in the device configuration. This is the configuration part. And now I'm able to choose the connection size. So for example, 1 inch, and now let's go forward, and you see I can choose the process connection, and I can add test and certificates. And you see it's the same functionality you see further in the web configurator. So my device configuration is done, and you see there are not many attributes because I'm not expert in this case, so I see not many attributes. The rule set is therefore that also non-expert can do this job. But we will see also the export view of this configuration. So I start the scaling. Okay, that's fit for me. And I say complete the sizing, and now I have a summary overall, and now I can add it to my shopping cart. And now I see my shopping cart, I see my pre-configured product, and now I see what I have configured. And I see it's available, I see the shipping, and I see the price. But I can also jump back because, oh, I've chosen the wrong connection size. So I go back to my configuration, I go back to the device, and now I say, okay, it's a 1/2 inch, and the rule set take care that the rest is also correct. So I have to choose the process connection again. I can choose another certification, start a scaling, complete the scaling, add it to my shopping cart, and I have my new variant inside my shopping cart and can buy it directly. So we just jump back that we see once again the UI. The UI can freely configurable. You can do whatever you want with the UI, customize that. And now you see I have the model components, I have the mandatory components, and I have the optional components. Now I will jump to the sales configurator. Now I have more things to choose. So first step is the same device selection. So I go to the rotor mass and now see different product lines. You see it's the same flow type, temperature, pressure. It's the same behavior, but I go to 150 also, and I want to choose these two to compare it. Okay, this one is the better one. Just start the configuration. And now you see it's the same UI, model components, mandatory and optional components, but I have to do a lot of more attribute and attribute values because now I'm an expert, I'm a sales guy, and I know what I do. And you see it's the same functionality. I have this little question mark and it's no longer available. So I click on the question mark and I see the value and I see the blocking value. And in this case, you see the reason it's transformed from SAP. The rule set is transformed from SAP to our rule language full automatically. Yeah, it's the same behavior. I can go forward, can select all my mandatory fields, but this is it for the moment. I will jump back to the presentation just a moment. So we have seen the chair configurator, we have seen the integration in the shop, and now it's about the rule management. And for that, we have an own application. In this case, it's about the chair. And you see, I have my seat cushion with different attribute values, fabric, leather, vinyl. I have my seat cushion color, and so on. And you see this model is imported, and you're not able to add attributes, or I'm not able to change feature and feature values because it's coming all from the EPIM. But in this case, I'm able to change to the rules tab. And now you see I have rule number 1, and I can add also a new rule. So I just click on add rule. I just can add a name for my rule, can say which features and attributes are necessary. And now I'm able with this UI to create my rule. So I can say a seat cushion leather is not allowed with seat cushion color red and seat cushion color blue or seat cushion color blue. I can add a description, leather is not allowed with. You can do it manually, this description, or full automatically. Then I can save my rule and I have my rules directly in my under rules in my rule management. But it's also possible, of course, to open an existing rule, rule number 1, and we also have an expert mode where you can write the whole rule without an UI. You can write the whole rule in our own constraint language. That's also possible. And it's also possible to import from other systems models, of course, or to add a new model, because if you haven't a PIM or haven't another system and you want to begin from scratch, that's also possible with this application. EPIM integration. So we have seen this formula in the web shop, in the web configurator. Now we see it directly in the PIM. This is the PIM. And you see I have the functionality to say, hey, PIM and configurator, please show me all valid variants based on my rule set. And in this case, I have limited to 50,000. And you see I have 50,000 valid variants. But I can also can say, I want to pre-select the headrest without seat cushion material leather and my seat cushion color black. And now I can also say EPIM and configurator, please show me all valid variants. And now you see I have only 60,912 product variants left. That's all possible. And you see the same functionality because it's deeply integrated. So I have the same functionality. I choose headrest without, and I see my headrest color is no longer available. And I have also this little question mark and same functionality. I see the non-selectable attribute value. I see my reason. In this case, it's exclude headrest color 1 is my rule behind. And I see which attribute is responsible for that. Because I've choose without, I'm no longer able to choose a headrest color. It's that easy and that fast. And of course, also the use functionality to use red because I want the headrest color in red. And now I'm not longer, and now without is not longer available by headrest. It's that easy. But same way, functionality of the question mark is there, and I see, okay, without is no longer available because I have the headrest color red. And it's also possible, of course, to configure one valid variant till the end and generate all this variant direct in the EPIM. So you can pre-select values and you have your 60,000 valid variants. And now you can say with one click, I want to generate all these variants in my PIM, or I just want to have the first 10, first 60, and so on. And based on this product model and rule set, I also can create a sales configurator or web configurator. The web configurator with the chair is all the data coming from PIM, the rule set coming from PIM. So you can just create your data, as you know, your product data in the PIM, and then you can choose our headless configuration API and can use it everywhere, wherever you want. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for your time. I'm at the end.
Cool. Thanks, Hendrik. Thanks so much for sharing the live view of your tool. I will redirect people to the Q&A sessions that you will host if they have any follow-up questions. I certainly do, and I am going to introduce our final speaker for today, Raoul Straathof from Katana PIM. Hi, Raoul.
Hello.
I wish you good luck, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. Let me share my screen. There we go. I think everything is okay right now. So, well, good afternoon. My name is Raoul Straathof, and I'm head of marketing sales at Katana PIM. I'm going to keep it a little shorter because I think a lot of stuff is already being covered. Just want to make sure I'll show how to manage, how we manage the spare parts, but mostly also the different product relations within the systems that you have to encounter. Katana PIM focuses on clients, manufacturers, brands, wholesalers who want to be active on multiple online channels. So that can be a web shop, that can be also marketplaces, but also dealer portals or just a different feed that you want to send to a dealer. And what is the best way to manage it? And I think one of the things that you encounter, especially with selling on different online channels, is that online channel will determine what kind of content you have to add. So that's also something we really focus on within our features, to making sure it's very easy to create like a single source of truth for all that product information for those different systems, but also for those spare parts. So how can you use a PIM not only as a single source for all your product information, but also use it as something you can use for your customer service, but also for your sales in getting to all your product information, getting to the right parts, especially managing spare parts, of course, because this focuses mostly on manufacturers. So let me get into our system. So what you see here is a dashboard, and of course, it just creates a quick overview of everything that goes on within our system, within your product scheme. And we have a multi-channel solution. So basically what you can do is you can create different assortments for different channels that you have. So there can be a web shop, that can be an ERP, that can also be a spare part, or maybe a channel integrator for your marketplaces. I focus for today, I focus on the barbecues. Summer is closing, is coming to an end. So I try to enjoy it a little bit with watching some barbecue parts as well. And what you have is with every channel, you basically also create your own dashboard. So within your own dashboard, you see what goes on, how many products do I have, what kind of to-dos do I have as well. Same thing, what we have is with our workflow. So what we have with our workflow is basically it gives every user the list that he has to work on. So basically, when I come in, I log into the system, I directly see the type of products that I have to work on. So when I go to my product overview, there's a lot of different ways to filter. And I think this is very important, especially if you put your main products that you're going to sell in the different channels, but also manage your spare parts into the same system. You're probably going to have like a bigger assortment. So that can vary probably to a couple thousand to a couple million products. And it's very important to get to the right products right away. So if just thinking from a product workflow where I say, okay, I'm responsible for getting all the product data for the ERP ready, basic data, I'm just making a short selection and I just get my work list right away. So I'm going to go from working out the content and then working towards the product relations. So if I go to a Kamado Excel and work for the product information there, the first thing that stands out is a completion page that they have. So basically built on a highly configurable solution on the workflow that we have, you can just set up different steps on what you want in your completion, but also in your workflow. And you see here that the basic data, that the SKU is missing. So if I'm responsible for managing this basic data, I know I have to fill in the SKU right away. Otherwise, this product cannot go, cannot be published or cannot go to the next one to work on the next channel. So going into the system, of course, I want to fill the SKU as quick as possible, make sure it's saved. And the next step is what you see is it's a multilingual solution, of course. So all the content you put in, all the content directly is also a multilingual setup. So what you see a lot, especially with selling in different channels, is you want to also have like, you want to have the English standard, but maybe you also want to have like an English for a certain sales channel. So all the basic fields are there, of course. You have your short description, long description. Maybe you want to fill in some SEO data because you have a brand store. But most importantly are the different attributes. So a lot of, especially manufacturers now, what you see with more like a D2C strategy that comes up is brands and also manufacturers are managing their product data more and more. And what we did is we created a different way or an easy way just to manage it. So being responsible for the content, what you want to do is you want to do as less limited work as possible. You just want to work off a drop down. So you cannot make any manual errors as well. And the good part of it is here is it's a multilingual solution. So if I look at the color and I work in a standard language, it's going to be in this situation was English. All the translations are there. So it's very easy just to add the options. From the options, you can add the different translations. So it's very easy. So I manage in my standard language, but then if I add the new translations, everything is set up from the feeds as well. And this also allows me to add a new language very quickly because you just do an export, you send it to a translation agency, and the translation agency maybe gives the French language back, and you just import it. That's like a 5-minute job for the content manager at that moment. So working from here, if you know I'm selling a barbecue, you know which kind of data you always have to fill in. So in this situation, I set up the color, the weight, the barbecue method, working as much with the drop downs as possible. But also maybe you want to add, because if I'm going to sell on a certain channel, let's say for instance, Amazon, I know I always have to fill in certain USP fields, or maybe just a second attribute. And I just want to add those groups there. So it's very easy to add new attributes and work off that. Same thing for images. So just add the images, drag and drop. It can go to an FTP environment, can go also through an import feed mapper, which I'm going to show a little bit later. Same thing, manufacturer, so you can add brands. So for also for important for filtering within the API and everything. And then we come to the product relations. So basically what you want to set up is as much of your product relationships as possible. So that can come from an ERP, but it's also something you can add manual. So that can go from a related product, which basically is an alternative product. So if your Kamado Excel is maybe sold out, or maybe it's stuck on a ship somewhere, you can say, okay, I still have the large or the Excel Guru available. Basically, the same thing goes for the spare parts. So you can just add some extra spare parts there. And then next is this different spare parts. So what you want to do is create a two-way connection between the spare parts and your main product. So it's very easy for your colleagues to navigate when they get questions. And the way we view spare parts basically now is instead of just having an ID or just having a short overview of which spare parts are available, I want to have as much data in the spare part as possible, because basically it's also a sellable product. Because I want to make sure, let me close this one. I want to make sure that if I put a online catalog ready, so I can have a very simple solution where visitors just can go and just find spare parts, or maybe find connections in my system. I have all the right information. So even for a spare part, what I want to make sure is I put all the data in there as well. So I put all the attributes, I put all the translations in, so it's very easy to find. But also, again, that two-way connection. So if I have a spare part called the thermometer, I want to know on which barbecue does it go. So I create a short overview just as where the barbecue are heading to. So this is how you manually can put a lot of data in. So the other thing is, a lot of our manufacturer clients, what they do is they get lists from suppliers through an Excel or to a CSV or whatever. So what we do is we create a feed mapper. So basically, if you get a file, you just use a feed mapper, where it's very easy to add the file into the system, and it auto maps most of the fields directly, the fields in the PIM and the fields in the file. You just map it one by one. You give it also the images you can import, same as all the attributes. And every single time that supplier or that wholesaler is going to give you that file, you're just going to import it, and you just get it back how it went. So in this situation, it added 240 new products and updated almost 9,000. But if it fails, you also get back why it fails. So in this situation, all the headers were missing, but it can also be maybe there's a double EN, because it's a unique identifier. You don't want to have a double in there. Another thing here is like an extra validation. So if, let's say, if you have an intern who can do the import, but there's still somebody needed to really validate it. So there's extra permissions and extra rules that you can set up from the system. So that's our permission rules. Basically, you can give different roles, different accesses. So maybe somebody from sales has to get into the PIM because they want to know about which products are related to certain spare parts, or the other way around, and the same thing for customer service. So they just get the reading rights. And that intern we were talking about, maybe he can just log in, see the dashboard, and just see the import overview. So just can really limit people there. So, and just from a customer service perspective, so the easy way, basically using the PIM, is where you say, I have a question, I have a thermometer that's broken for my Kamado XL. You just can quickly just go into the PIM and find the right solution. So you just go to the Kamado XL, you go to the spare parts, you find the right thermometer, and from here, from the right thermometer, you just get everything that you need, because you set up all the content from here. So from here, you get the price, the SKU, and EN, and maybe even the sales channels where they're active on. So that's a very easy way, one, to manage all your content, make sure your content is full and easily completed, but also get all the product relations in there. So it can, from here, go to a sales channel. It can go to a marketplace, or maybe to a dealer that wants it in a feed. So that concludes the demo on my part. And I want to thank everybody for their attention, and hope to see everybody in the Q&A.
Cool. Thanks, Raoul. Yes, thank you for your presentation, and I hope to see you too in the Q&A, which then leads me to basically wrap up the main stage event for this lightning demos, a true lightning demos, as we're finishing 7 minutes before our scheduled time, which is pretty good. I want to please remind you to use the left-hand navigation bar to go to your sessions, or go to the booths, the expo area, where there's a vendor booth for all the vendors, including one for PIM vendors. And if you don't know already, we do independent PIM selection. So if you ever need help with selecting a new PIM, or if you're still using Excel and you want to really upgrade your product information management experience, you want some advice on how to structure your architecture with PIM and ERP and your commerce solution, how does it all fit and tie together? We are there to help you. So please reach out to me, join our booth, and ask your questions there, or just visit our website for our free tools, including a cost calculator and a shortlist generator, where you can fill in some questions and you get a free tailored shortlist that is actually even vendor independent. So no vendor can get the top spot just by sponsoring our events or our site. I want to thank all the speakers from all the different vendors for their time, for their great presentations and showing their solutions today. I want to now make sure that everyone gets some time to start their sessions. So give everyone some time to start the sessions. They need to leave the backstage area. And I want to invite you all for our next event, which is on the 4th of November, a roundtable on marketplaces, on PIM and marketplaces. So please keep an eye on our LinkedIn page. There's a whole list of events that we have planned. And I hope to see you on the next event, which is on November 4th. Have a nice afternoon. I see you around on the event. See you maybe on one of the Q&A sessions. And otherwise, see you on November 4th. Goodbye.